Okay, let's get started. Welcome everyone to the Unlocking the Children's Board Emerging Needs Grant and Other Funding webinar. I'm just going to go through some quick rules of the road. I have muted all the lines for now so we can minimize background noise and distractions. We are recording this webinar and it will be available to everybody on here after, as well as the slides. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them on the chat box. We will also have some time at the end for a Q&A. And if you haven't already, feel free to drop your name and what organization you're with on the chat box. On to you, Charlie.
Thank you, Isabella. Hello, everyone. And I join Isabella in welcoming you and in thanking our partners from the Children's Board for providing this great opportunity. We're very delighted to have Chabelle Santiago with us. The Nonprofit Leadership Center has had a great partnership with Children's Board now for nearly 30 years in helping nonprofits in the region develop their own organizational capacity to better serve the communities in which we serve. So we're delighted for this opportunity. I'm sure I don't need to tell anyone on this call that it's not every day that a funder presents new and different ways to achieve funding in the region. And so for those who are supporting children and families in Hillsborough County, this is a tremendous opportunity. So thank you so much for your participation with us. Thank you, Chabelle, and on to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Charlie. And thank you to the Nonprofit Leadership Center. They are just wonderful partners and a great resource in the community. I speak with several nonprofits in the community and definitely always steer them to nonprofit leadership for some resources. And I'm very excited to be here today and sharing this information with you all. I'm just going to be doing an overview about our Emerging Needs Grant and other funding opportunities through the Children's Board. So again, I am the programs procurement manager here at the Children's Board, and I always like to kind of start off with a little bit of history and how we kind of came to be. So I'm going to start with a little bit of history, then we're going to get into the rest. So Isabel said, if any questions, please use the chat. And we will have Q&A at the very end. So in regards to the Children's Board, in 1988, residents got together and they decided that, hey, we want to improve supports and services for the children and families here, and this became a priority. So as a result, in 1989, we became a special taxing district, and that's when the Children's Board came to be. It was not to exceed 50 cents per $1,000 of assessed property tax. And so with that revenue, we are able to look at our mission and we were able to invest that into partnerships and quality programs to support the success of children and families here in Hillsborough County. And our vision as an organization is that Hillsborough is going to be recognized as one of the top places in the nation to raise your children. So that's a little bit about us. We have 4 focus areas that we like to share, and it's behind our funding. And that is children are healthy and safe, children are developmentally on track, and children are ready to learn and succeed, as well as family support. So in the area of children are healthy and safe, what we're looking at awareness or early preventative health and education that prepares family to develop nurturing and healthy habits, which can also be coordinated with healthcare systems in the community and primary care providers. In our areas of children are developmentally on track, we're looking at early identification of developmental needs for children that are birth to 5 years of age. We also can help caregivers and parents understand about their children's development in that area. So that's our children are developmentally on track area. In ready to learn and succeed, in that area, we're looking at school readiness and services for young children birth to 5 and how we can get them ready to learn. And looking at their environment, is it healthy, is it safe? We want to make sure that they have a nurturing, health, and safe environment so they're ready to learn. We're also looking at the having quality early professionals and educators as well. So we're looking at supporting professionals that are working with our children in their early care environment. And then ultimately, we have our family support area. In that area, we're looking at how can we support the family as a whole, looking at their overall well-being and their stability, helping them have strong relationships with their children, so they have a strong foundation to be able to develop secure attachment, which is going to help in turn with future physical, cognitive, and social emotional development and health. So we like to just always share what our focus areas are as the organization. And then we also like to share a little glimpse of those investments and the revenue that we generate. So for this past year, you can see that 85% goes straight towards programming expenditures. So we're really happy and excited to share that 85% of that revenue is going straight to services for children and families here in the community. When we're looking at our funding opportunities, we look to the community. So we go through various ways of engaging the community. We have town halls, formal town halls every 3 years. We engage in focus groups with families and community partners. We look at reports, we do research. We also get out into the community through our community events. We have a big PR team that they are out and about all the time. In essence, they could go to over 80 outreach events in 1 year. And that is how we're able to kind of tap into the needs, what's going on, what are the trends. So that is how it's very important for us to engage the community, to hear from the community what is going on, what are the needs when we're looking at funding opportunities. We have, with our funding opportunities, 4 grants that we offer. We have investment grants, United grants, leading grants, and technical assistance grants. These grants are released annually based on the revenue projections, the contract terms, ending of other current programming, and board approval. Our investment grants are our largest grants that are available, and they require 6 to 8 outcomes, and they are funded for a period of 6 years. With our Uniting grants, they require 4 to 6 outcomes and are funded for a 5-year period. And then we have our leading grants that can have 3 to 4 outcomes and are funded for a 4-year period. Now, our technical assistance grants, those are great opportunities for organizations to build the infrastructure capacity of that organization. So where they differ from the investment and Uniting and the leading grants is that the technical assistance grants are not designed for direct services. They are a capacity building grant. It's an opportunity for an organization to look at their infrastructure or something that they may need as an organization to just build on some of the resources internally. Whereas the investment, Uniting, and the leading grants are programmatic and direct services. So the TA grants are offered annually, and they can be up to $10,000. It's a great opportunity for an organization and looking at capacity building. So I definitely recommend checking that out as well. So we just want to share a little snapshot of this past year. I want to highlight what we've been able to do. We have an annual report that we put out every year. It's available on our website, and so you are welcome to check it out each year. For this past year, we were able to invest $49 million into 152 funded programs. As a result, we were able to serve 163,068 children and families. We served just a little over 4,000 professionals. And we have this amazing building that is open to the community. If you haven't come to visit, please come and check out the Children's Board, because you can make reservations and use our conference center for community meetings. And this past year, we had over 22,000 guests come through. So keep that for yourselves as a resource, that know that our building and our conference center is open. If you need to hold a community meeting or training, reach out to us, because we definitely can offer you that as a resource. So looking at our grants, it is important to know, and we always want to share, that our grants are cost reimbursement grants. So that means that the grant money is not awarded upfront. Basically, the cost has to be incurred and then invoiced. So organizations that are looking to work with the Children's Board should have a certain amount of capital and financial capability before applying and going through an RFP process, or looking at an emerging needs grant, or even a technical assistance grant. We want to make sure that you are in a good place as an organization to contract and manage one of the grants. So we always like to share the information that these are cost reimbursement grants. And it's also important to note that it's good to have 2 months of reserves to be able to pay any kind of operating expenses if you are awarded a grant. So keep that in mind as you're considering the Children's Board, as a possible funder. All right, so here is really one of the main reasons that we're here, and I'm doing this presentation. I want to talk to you about our emerging needs grant. So our emerging needs grant, it's basically a grant that it does not go through the competitive process. It's something that it was not anticipated throughout the year, and as we were putting the budget together, putting our plan together for funding releases, an emerging need is something that has been identified through community members, community partners. It could be board members, it could be a variety of folks in the community that have identified, hey, there's this new trend or this need that it did not happen. We didn't see it this past year. Now all of a sudden it's become a thing. And how can we address this? So it's important to know that with emerging needs, there's not a specific set time that you can apply only at this time of the year. Really, I want to encourage you to reach out to me as the contact person for emerging needs, but it can be identified as new trends, research, analysis, challenges in the community. It is important to note that it's a short-term and one-time grant. So basically the need would have to be addressed in a short period of time with the funding. The requests are, again, one time, and they must be between $5,000 and up to $75,000 for the emerging needs grant, with a maximum amount of time of 18 months. And with the emerging needs, it's not intended for direct program services. So it is important to note that. So if you're looking for funding ideas or funding, the first thing that I ask someone who calls is this a programming need, or is this a short-term emerging need that needs to be addressed in the community? Because with this being time limited up to a maximum of 18, depending on what the emerging need is, we want to make sure you're looking for the proper alignment of funding and grants. I also want to share with you, we do have a one-pager, and at the end of the presentation, I'm going to go through our Children's Board website, and we'll dive more into that one-pager regarding the emerging needs grant. But basically, like I said, $5,000 to up to $75,000, and we're really looking at what is it that you have identified that's not new, or it's a new concern, and we really encourage you to reach out. We can talk through what it is and have the concept ready, and what would be the expenses in terms of that emerging need. So we will take a look at that one pager. The important things to know in regards to that is mainly, in terms of eligibility, you have to be a legally operating non-for-profit, registered with funded. And again, this is an unanticipated need. We're looking at something that is affecting pregnant women or children up to 18 years of age in Hillsborough County. And again, does it align with our 4 focus areas that I reviewed earlier? Again, it's a cost reimbursement grant, and it's not, like I said, not one set, like you can only apply this time of year. It doesn't go through the competitive process such as an RFP. In just a moment, I'm going to go through what our RFP process looks like to understand the two. But I would encourage you to reach out to me. My contact information is going to be at the end of this presentation. And we want to hear from the community. What is an emerging need? What is your organization seeing? What are families facing that maybe hasn't been addressed in an official RFP release? We do also have something called match grants. With a match grant, in some instances, an organization may receive funding from another funder that requires a match. And we just want to share that this is a resource. You can reach out to the Children's Board if you have received funding from another organization. The important thing that you have to have is a notice of award letter. And that is something that you, that when you have that, you want to reach out to us and find out about these match grants and inquire about that. Again, we are looking for alignment with our 4 focus areas, so that is important. But just know that that's another opportunity and another resource if you have applied to federal funding or county or foundation, and they offer these match grants that stipulates you must have a match. Reach out to the Children's Board. We could be a resource for you. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about our request for proposal process. And basically, it's a document that announces the release of funding. We describe the intent of the RFP, and we put it out there in the community. It is a competitive process for organizations to apply. And in the RFP, the request for proposal, it has all the information that you need to go or need to have, excuse me, to understand the intent of that release. Does it align with something that your organization is doing, is able to do? You want to make sure that it really aligns with your organization. If you are applying to an RFP to the Children's Board or even other funders, again, make sure you have alignment and you're not forcing something that your organization maybe doesn't necessarily do into an RFP. So always take a look at that, check it out. But I'm going to show you here a little bit more about that process. With our request for proposals, and we have, I do need to mention, we have RFPs, which is request for proposals. We have RFA, request for applications. Our request for applications, we release our technical assistance grants that way. And we also do have ITNs, which is invitation to negotiate. All 3 are a competitive process. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to throw out some alphabet soup there, and that's why I broke it all down. But those 3 are ways to apply for competitive funding through that competitive process. So when we release a funding opportunity, whether it's an RFP, RFA, or ITN, we promote it, we put it in our newsletter. You can sign up for our newsletter through the Children's Board website. You can also sign up to get notifications of funding opportunities, but we want to get the word about our funding opportunity. So we promote it, and then we have an information session. We may have an information session in person, or we may post a video about, an information video. But either way, we provide some sort of information session to the community and the public. In that RFP document, we also include a timeline that it gives you the breakdown of when the information session is, when our questions due, when is the proposal due, and everything that you need to know is broken down in that timeline. We recommend that if you get an RFP and you're looking to apply, note that timeline on your calendars and with your team. You want to make sure everybody has that information. We also provide a window opportunity for proposers to ask questions. So during the time of a release and an open funding opportunity, we do fall under restricted communication. So that means that you wouldn't be able to just call me up and say, hey, Chevelle, I have a question about this RFP. I'm not clear about something. What we have done is we have a designated email that is released with the funding opportunity RFP, that you can submit your questions, and we ask you to be as specific as possible in your questions. Ask as many questions as you need to ask to help you write your proposal. We don't want you to be shy. Ask as many questions, be as specific as possible, because the more specific you are in your questions, then the better answers we can provide. And ultimately, all the questions and answers are posted on our Children's Board website for that particular time of the RFP. So once that process is over with and that window of opportunity passes the questions, and proposals are due, submitted, and it goes to a community review team. And after community review team, final determinations that are made and final recommendations go to the board for funding. So that's just a quick snippet about the RFP process. And I mentioned these two other types of releases, so I just want to share that. Again, we have invitation to negotiate, or ITN, and our request for application, RFA, for your reference. But all three are a funding releases, and it is a competitive process. All right, so I'm going to jump into just kind of some strategies for you to help you out if you are looking at applying through our competitive process. You want to make sure you read that whole RFP document. You want to address all the areas, the questions. You want to just overall follow the directions that are in the document. One of the things I would recommend is to not do a cut and paste from another grant that maybe you have applied, because each release is very different and very unique. So you want to just basically start fresh each and every time. So we have as a resource for you a agency capacity checklist. It is available on our website, and I'm going to go to the website here in a moment, and I'll bring up that agency capacity checklist. And it's a nice little self-reflection tool that you can use as an organization to just see where you are in terms of applying to an RFP or even contracting with the Children's Board. Do you have certain things in place? Do you have a board? Do you have a board of directors? Do you have the financial capability? So we'll go over that in just a moment. This is a little bit of what it looks like, but I'll bring up the whole document. We are in the process of updating it, so please take a look at it. All right, I've mentioned our website and what resources we have. You can sign up for our newsletter. I'm going to take you to our website here in just a minute, and then I'll also show you how you can follow us on social media. Something that we also like to share with everybody is we release family guides. It's a great resource. It has all the Children's Board funded programs in that guide. So there's hard copies and there are electronic copies. And so you can take a look at the electronic copy on our website. And give me just a second, and I am going to pull up our website. While I do that, Isabel, any questions?
Don't see any questions.
Okay. And I do want to be mindful of the time. So give me just a second, and I'm going to share some of these resources. All right, are you seeing our Children's Board website now?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So here is the Children's Board website, and I'm going to take you to where you can sign up for the newsletter, where you can find that information about the Emerging Needs Grant, and where you can find information about funding opportunities in general. So you will go to funding, you'll see the drop down, and you'll see funding opportunities. You will click there and you'll see funding opportunities, our 4 focus areas. We are excited to share that this year with our funding releases, we are now going to be utilizing SurveyMonkey Apply. So we have now added a video, a little tutorial. And if you're not tired of seeing me yet, you can see me again on this video. But we just wanted to share a little tutorial on how to use that SurveyMonkey Apply. But there is here on our website, current open funding opportunities. And you can see what is currently open and available that you can apply for. And then if you keep scrolling down, additional funding opportunities, you see the Emerging Needs Grant. And here's that 1-page flyer that I was referring to. So I definitely encourage you that if your organization is serving children and families here in Hillsborough County, you're identifying a need that we don't currently have a release on, and you have these parameters here that you are meeting, please give me a call so we can discuss what is this emerging need and what can we do to address it. So that is on this website here. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna go to the agency capacity checklist. All right, and that is right up here. Click to view agency capacity checklist. And again, this is a great little self-reflection tool that you can use as an organization. And it just has some basic questions like, I mentioned in the presentation, active board of directors. If you don't have an active board of directors, nonprofit leadership, they have wonderful classes that they offer about board of directors and governance. So this is why we have such a great partnership, because we complement each other on these resources to help you guys out. Data collection, do you have the capability to collect data? Financial capability, how are you doing as an organization overall? And so something also to note is insurance requirements. There are a certain amount of insurance requirements if you enter a contract with the Children's Board. So we aim to be as transparent as possible in regards to that. Isabel, are you seeing the agency capacity checklist, or are you still seeing the Children's Board website? Oh, you're on mute, Isabella.
The checklist.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, so I highly recommend this checklist. It's a great tool, not only if you're applying for funding for the Children's Board, but it could potentially help you with other funders in the community. And let me stop sharing and take you back to the main website. All right. So any burning questions from anybody? I really want to make the most of this time and want you all to feel brave enough to reach out, to ask me questions, contact me. And I'm going to go ahead and put the information up with my contact information. Because if you can't think of a question now, you can email me at a later date. All right. And what are you seeing now? Are you seeing the presentation, or are you still on the Children's Board website?
It's on the presentation on the family guide slide.
Excellent. Okay. So that family guide is available on the Children's Board website. And here we go. Here's my contact information. So I want you all to, hopefully you take away some little tidbit of information today. I want you to be brave. I want you to look at that checklist. Reach out to me if you have a burning question after today's webinar and presentation. Check out our website, sign up for the newsletter, and ask questions. We are a resource here for you, just like nonprofit leadership is, and we want to hear if there's an emerging need in this community. and want you to reach out.
There's one question
Yes.
on the chat.
Okay.
What is the age range for children?
Oh, that's a great question. So for the emerging needs, it's children birth to 18 and also pregnant women and their families. So with our major releases, each of the releases, you're going to take a look at the intent and what the priority population is, because each release does have a different priority population. But in terms of the emerging need, it can be something that it's children birth to 18 and their families, or also something affecting pregnant women. Great question. Any other questions from the group? All right.
No questions?
No other questions? All right. Well, I, again, thank you to the Nonprofit Leadership Center for this opportunity to share this information. They're going to be posting this. You can refer back to it. Please don't hesitate to call me, email me. I'm here as a resource, and we want to hear about emerging needs. And I can also answer your questions about anything related to our funding opportunities. So thank you all again, and thank you for the work that you do in this community. And thank you, Isabella, and the team at Nonprofit Leadership Center.
A big thank you to you, Shabelle, and to the Children's Board for sharing this incredibly informative presentation. And thank you to everyone that's joined us today. As I said, we'll be sharing the recording of this meeting as well as the slides. I know it was a lot of information in a short period of time, so you'll have a chance to look at that. And if, like Shabelle said, if you have any other questions, you can reach out to her. And please keep your eyes out for upcoming webinars. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.